people sometimes forget how much cameras were, and cameras were expensive in the late 80s, early 90s, and one or two manufacturers were slightly cheaper, and that included Zenit and Patika from East Germany, and from Russia you got the Zenit range. Now the Zenit cameras had been incredibly successful in the 70s with the likes of the Zenit E, but they were beginning to get very dated and people wanted something a little bit more modern. And the Russians definitely made a big endeavour with the 21K. This was a plastic body camera. I think it's got a metal base, but the outer casing is plastic, which is very different to the Zenit E and EM. You had LED metering. This camera is still predominantly manual. It's got a film in it, so I can't demonstrate the putting of the film in, but you pop the film in and you make sure it rounds on, because it winds on manually. It has shutter speeds from B, 1/8 of a second, 15th of a second, sorry, 1/8 of a second, 1/15th of a second, 30th, 60, 1/5, 1/5, and 500th of a second. It's quite easy to change the shutter speed. You half press the camera to get the LED to work, and the LED in the viewfinder gives you red, orange and green. Sorry, it gives you red and green. It gives you green when you have a correct meter reading. One issue I did find with this camera, when I first loaded a film, I couldn't work out how to set the counter to 0. And there's a little button there just by the shutter. You had to press the button and it will reset the counter to 0. So if you're struggling with that, that is what you need to do there. So the lens is manual. It's the classic Helios lens. I think it's a Helios, it just says Zenit, but it's very similar in slightly more modern design. Quite nice, it focuses up to 35 centimeters. It's f2, so it's moderately fast. There's no DX coding with this. You have to set your ISO here, and the ISO goes from 25 to 400, which is a little bit disconcerting in case you do want to rate your films to 800, but because you can use this camera completely manually, that is fine. Finally, Zenit realised the importance of a nice little crank to wind the film back. So when you're winding the film back, when you've taken a film in here, you've got to press the shutter down, move it to V, I think it's V, and then that releases the crank of the shaft here and you can wind the film back. Batteries go in here for the meter. You've got a self timer as well there. As I said, these are very conveniently the Pentax K. What I really enjoyed about this camera, which slightly surprised me, was the ergonomics. Looks like it's come out of some, I don't know, Moscow strange club. It's all very black and slightly strange looking. It actually fits in the hand extremely well. So it's actually quite a nice camera to use. And because you are stopping down, the lens is stopping down when you are taking a meter reading, you actually get the depth of field you would get on the photograph, which I find as a photographer really nice to know what effect I'm actually getting. So to my great surprise, this is actually a really nice camera to use, and it produces quite reasonable results. The metering I did find was slightly a little bit precarious. The green light sort of I wasn't quite sure with how accurate it was. However, the proof is in the pudding, and the film was quite good, as you will see on the end of this video. So, some people claim there's not many of these about. Other claims are that there's at least 20 to 30,000 of them on the market. I must say I have not seen too many of them. However, if you can buy them on eBay for about £50–60. I've looked yesterday and there's definitely a couple available in Europe. So if you find one, especially with the Pentax K, they are quite a useful camera that might surprise you. It might not be top of your list, but if you find one, try one out and see what you think. Bye.